Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Conscious Conversations with Psych-K facilitators from all around the world. I'm joined today by Kat. Hello, Kat. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm so good, thank you. Really excited to be here with you today and hearing your story. You have an amazing story. I'm so excited to hear that. So you're from Texas.
I am.
How is it over there in Texas today?
It is nice. We've been having a warm winter, so I'm super happy about that. 9 weeks away from the spring solstice, so even happier about that.
Good, good. I've been to Dallas. I know you're in Dallas. I've been to Dallas and actually snowed there when I was there. I think that's pretty rare.
Yes, it is. It's rare. We actually had snow, I want to say last week, which is the first time we've had it in maybe 4 or 5 years.
Oh, wow. Amazing. That's cool.
Yeah. I didn't enjoy it. I'm originally from the Northeast, moved to Texas about 12 years ago to get away from the snow. So when it snows here, well, there's probably a balance for that.
Yes.
I was going to say I'm not a happy camper, but there's a balance in there.
I was just going to say that, yeah. Awesome. Well, considering that we're speaking about Psych-K here and balancing, perhaps you could share with us how Psych-K came to you and, yeah, what's your story, Kat? Now, share with us your story.
Well, I think my story is a little bit different than most of the other facilitators you've had so far in the interview series. I actually came to Psych-K as a client first, and I was going through a particularly difficult time tapering off of a cocktail of psychiatric medications. Started with antidepressants, had a bad reaction, more were added for those side effects, and then more for those side effects, and you know, the usual story. Eventually found myself trying to get off of these medications and having a really hard time physically. And as I was coming off of some of them, I was realizing that I never dealt with the original traumas and other precipitating events in my life, and I was suicidal. I was, not only from the physical manifestations of the withdrawal, but just that hole in my soul that I felt before I even started the medication was there again as I was becoming unnumb. So found a facilitator, actually an instructor, Catherine Moyer, here in the Dallas area, and went to her for a session. Actually, I signed up for her 10-hour overhaul package because I knew what shape I was in. And although I didn't know a whole lot about Psych-K, I was just so desperate I was willing to try anything, and had been studying the mind-body connection. And at first I thought I wanted to go for hypnosis. And then I just realized how powerful the Psych-K process was, because you could change something, you know, on average in 2 to 5 minutes. And, you know, didn't have to go home with all these recordings and things to listen to over and over again. So made my appointment with her, had my first session, and within one balance, a lot of my physical withdrawal symptoms were abating. And I was like, whoa. And then I went on to have the core belief balance facilitated with me. And it was just incredible. I had been going to a 12-step meeting every day at noon for Codependence Anonymous. And I went to that meeting the next day and I felt like a square peg in a round hole. I thought maybe it was a fluky kind of thing. So I went back to my meeting the next day and I realized it's not that I didn't have a memory of where I had been. I just could no longer relate. That was not the filter and the perspective that I was viewing through anymore. And I never went back. And that was years ago. And yeah, it was just incredible.
That is incredible. It really is. And there'll be so many people out there in a similar position, because I know we even spoke about it before. of our upbringing. You know, we're told when we're not feeling well, what generally happens? Well, we go to the doctor, he gives us the pills, we take the pills, and then we start feeling better, or we don't start feeling better, whatever the outcome is. But it's looking for that outside of ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. And the greatest gift that Psych-K gave to me was knowing that I am the power, and I have all the power within myself to heal myself and take care of myself, right? To claim my own power and not give it away. And because of that, I admit it, in very much a victim state. And after that first session, I came away knowing that I am not a victim, and I do have the power to, over my life. So that was a very incredible gift.
In just one session as well. It's
Yes.
Truly, truly amazing. And your husband was studying therapy at the time, so psychotherapy.
Yes.
So
Psychotherapy.
How did he take on?
So he was blown away. He also has been in the 12-step community in various capacities. And he just was like, what is this, right? And found out that actually Catherine was going to be hosting a basic workshop within, several weeks from that first session. Mm. And my husband and I were like, we've got to go. We just have to go. And he was thinking, I can use this eventually, in my therapy practice. And I was just thinking, I can use this with myself. And that was really the main reason I took it, just to work with myself, and we could work with each other. And then the more I got into it and the more workshops I went to, I realized, this can help so many people. And I just decided to become a facilitator full time.
Yeah. I share that with you. When I went to my first workshop, just curiosity. I was looking for something. I didn't know what I was looking for. And when I was in that workshop, it hit me in the guts and just said, this is you got to follow this path. And ever since, it's just been pulling me in. I've resisted it at times, but it keeps pulling me, and I keep working through it and keep balancing as things show up. So I'm so grateful. So after the workshop, well, maybe you could describe the workshop to us. How was the workshop first for you?
The workshop was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing just to understand the principles behind Psych-K, and to learn that it's really a spiritual practice that has physical and psychological benefits. So, you think that when you change your subconscious beliefs, how impactful can that really be? But I think what sets Psych-K apart, well, there's a lot of things, is that spiritual component, right? So it's something deeper than just shifting your perspective or changing your subconscious beliefs. I think the reason that we experience those psychological shifts and physical shifts is because of that spiritual component, right? We're stripping away those layers, and we're coming back to who we were the day we were born, before all those layers of filters, were put on us and that we adopted.
It's so true. And, we've created a society that does not support the human spirit any longer. And that's why we have so much turmoil and so much angst and unease in our societies. It's because we've forgotten that spiritual side of ourselves. So I love that we're realigning with that, and we're inviting spirit into each of our sessions to be a co-creator in what it is that we're trying to do for ourselves.
Absolutely. And also the whole, in working as a full-time facilitator, sometimes it's difficult for me to call clients. I kind of have to know my audience, but I do prefer So call them my partners, but that can be a little bit, you kind of have to know your audience.
Romantic partner or sports partner or
right. So I try to be cognizant of my audience when I choose the word partner or client, but really you are partnering with that person, and I am just holding space and facilitating their transformation, because they've got all the power and all the resources they need within them. I'm just holding that space for them to create the changes that they need.
Which is a hugely important part of Psych-K, is that it's the do with. We allow the individual to do it for themselves. We hold the space and we be that asumatak, but really it's the individual that does all the change. And I'm so humbled and so honored to be a part of it with people and to watch them go through something that often is so traumatic. As you know, you would have had your fair share of traumas in your life. To be able to be free from those in the space, as you say, in the space of 2 to 5 minutes.
Yes.
To watch that person when they're in that whole brain posture, going through it, and they're tense, and then by the end of it, they're relaxed, smile, the brow relaxes, everything becomes serene, and that you can almost see their aura starting to reflect what it is that they're feeling. So, yeah, it's amazing to be able to have the spirit as part of our part of the process.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. So what kind of clients do you attract? You said you do this full time now. Oh, actually before, what were you doing before Psych-K? You were...
I was in IT. I was doing computer analyst type work. And so I joke, and you and I think joked about this.
Yeah.
I went from programming computers to now reprogramming minds, the software of the mind, right?
Yeah.
But I think that served me very well, having that kind of more analytical background, because it helps me to, really get to the root of what's going on with the client. But I also feel like, and I kind of attribute this to Psych-K, I have that intuitive piece as well. So I feel like, with this Psych-K process, with all the balances I've done either with myself or swapping sessions with other facilitators, I'm definitely more in a whole brain state where I can maintain that analytical side, but I've also got the, more intuitive side going on as well. And that's served me well. And I think my clients appreciate that about me.
Yeah. Because that is really important, because I think sometimes it's easy to get stuck in that, especially with other therapies and modalities, of what do I think about this? What's my judgment on this call, and what advice can I give? But it's not up to us. That whatever it is that we're hearing is for us. I love that spirit guides us intuitively to the cause. Because would you agree that the things that people come to you with that they would like to change, they're symptoms of something else?
Exactly. Absolutely. And, I like to start with the usual culprits. Okay. But then part of the way I run my practice is that I always have kind of like an introduction call with the prospective partner, and find out, what brought them to Psych-K. And I listen for those limiting beliefs during that conversation, and send them, a couple of paragraphs addressing those usual suspects, as well as tweaking it to the limiting beliefs that I heard them say, in our conversation. And basically it's kind of like if they say, I've got a supervisor that's really mean to me at work. My question is, have you thought about how you want this to be instead, right? If you could have the ideal interaction with your supervisor, what would that look like? How would you want it to feel? How would you like it to go down? How would you like your supervisor, to see you? How would you like to feel about that interaction? So I kind of put those things out there So if they have some time to think about how they want things to be instead, because, with society, we're just always geared towards the negative, what you don't want. And I find it helpful to kind of prime the pump before they get here, because I'm very much about cranking out as much belief change work as possible. Not that we're not going to have dialogue, but be prepared as much as possible. And then when we, get into the session, we can do as much belief change work as possible.
Yeah, I love that. I think I might incorporate that into my introduction call, because that's the hardest part for people is identifying, what do I want? It's not natural for us to think that. We all, as you say, we all know what we don't want, and most of the time that's exactly what we get.
Exactly.
Okay, so what kind of clients do you attract? What kind of clients do you help, or partners, we should say?
So I really get a little bit of everything, but I kind of get a little bit more of folks who are struggling with more of the, I guess we'll say, mental health challenges. I've worked with quite a bit of people who struggle with anxiety. That's a big one. Depression. I've worked with people who have ADHD, lots of people with PTSD, many people with traumas. And so a lot of that kind of stuff, and people who are wanting, they're experiencing it, but they're not wanting to get on medication because they know it's just going to mask what's really happening, and they just want to get to the root of it. Or, folks who are already on medication but don't want to be, and they want to deal with whatever, landed them there, so that they can, try to come off the medication. And I will say that one of my goals in 2020 is to gear my practice a little bit more towards those folks, just because it's been my past, and I really have a heart for those types of, people who are struggling with those challenges. But, Psych-K is good for so many things. And, certainly I've facilitated for many, different challenges.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's really cool. And it's incredible how often we hear, especially in workshops and other facilitators, the kind of people that they attract is generally what it is that they've gone through, that mirror. We help people with it.
Yes, the universe, it's just, the universe never ceases to surprise, delight, challenge me. It seems like as I have grown and expanded since I've, come to Psych-K, it seems like whatever my current challenge is, at that next level, I tend to get clients coming to me that are struggling with those same things. And it's kind of funny and kind of ironic, but at the same time, I can honestly say that I learn and grow through my clients, just through that facilitation. I feel like it's a very win-win situation, because I'm coming away with new insight and, a new perspective just by working with the folks that come for the same challenges that I'm currently dealing with. So it's really a beautiful thing.
You're almost giving yourself a session.
Yes. And, if depending on what workshops you've had, I'm not gonna lie. I piggybacked off of a balance that one of my clients did yesterday, because it was exactly where I was at, and their statement was just so perfect and, so beautiful. I was like, I'm going to piggyback off this.
And it adds that element, that next layer deeper of how authentic this actually is, because we are always a work in progress, and we're not coming here from an egotistical perspective and saying, I know what's right, I'm the Messiah, I got to tell you right or wrong. It's like, dude, I feel this with you, and I'm going to go away and do these myself now, because you're showing me what I need to work on.
Yeah. You know, and I, it's good that you say that. I am not afraid to say that to the client, right? Because I don't ever want to be to a place where I'm, put on a pedestal, or, the client, the partner thinks that, it's me or it's something that I'm doing. I try to be very clear about, where the power lies. And, if the power is given to me, I, lovingly give it, hand it back. But definitely, I'm very real. I'm very real with my partners. And if I'm struggling with something without, going into detail, I can just say, yeah, I can relate to that. That's, happening in my own life right now. And, we're all one, right?
It's true. It's true. It's a hard concept to get our head around, but science is starting to prove it.
Yes.
Sweet. So maybe could you share with us a success story? Either, I mean, I know you yourself are a success story, and I'm so grateful to have been connected today and hearing this and sharing this with our viewers. But do you have another sort of something else that maybe a client or a partner, another success story that you could share with us?
I want to share this beautiful success story. I saw a gentleman, probably the middle to end of October this past year, and he came to me, and he had had a pretty serious drinking problem for approximately 20 years. He had gotten in trouble with the law, etc. Had been not disassociated, estranged from his son and daughter-in-law and his less than 1 year old grandbaby because of the alcohol problem. And he came to me. We did a core belief balance and checked in with him about a week later. He had gone to a wedding, had not had anything to drink, had been asked multiple times, why aren't you drinking? He said he had no interest, no desire. He sent me a message around Christmas time telling me that he had moved from Texas to California, and that he was invited there by his son because he had stopped drinking for the last 3 months, and it was the longest he had ever gone without consuming alcohol. And he's now with his grandbaby and his son and daughter-in-law and his wife, and he's just super, super happy because it had been that much of an impact, right, on his life. And it's just incredible. Now, I will say that when I had the introduction call with him, I always set realistic expectations. I say it can happen in one balance, but maybe not. Sometimes it's a plate of spaghetti. You kind of gotta, unwind it. But I have to say that I'm really grateful that one broad sweeping balance was enough to, get him to where he's at now. And I'm glad he can be with his family and his little grandbaby.
Yeah, I'm so happy. My heart is singing right now. That's so good. And it's that butterfly effect, he came to one thing and then every other aspect of his life improved because he had filled that hole that was inside of him that he was trying to support with a substance or something outside of himself.
Yes.
Wow. That's really cool. The core belief balance is huge. I know when I did that, it was like I just felt a hole fill up inside of me. And I know people within the Psych-K community refer to it as if it's almost like 3 years of therapy in one balance.
I will tell you, I literally had 20 years of therapy going once a week. I am not kidding you. And that core belief balance did more for me than 20 years of therapy.
20 years. There we go. That sounds better.
I can honestly, truly, easily say that.
Yeah. I think it's probably a good time to give our disclaimer that, we're not making any claims here. It's not a cure for anything, is it? It's just changing beliefs and perceptions about what we believe to be true about these situations and conditions in our life, and often the change afterwards is quite miraculous. That's the power of individuals.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're in a whole new decade. It's January, the first month. So what can we expect from you this year, Kat?
Well, like I said, I am going to kind of have a specialty, although I'll do the other areas as well, of just helping folks, you know, with the mental health types of challenges, and you know, support with, you know, the medication kind of aspect of it. I'm working on putting some programs together where, you know, if you know, partners want more than just kind of a one-off session, it's kind of a conglomeration of information I've gathered, you know, to kind of enhance the experience. So I'm working towards that. And I eventually, my husband, who is sitting for his state exam, I'd like to kind of go into practice with him. You know, those who need more talk therapy can see him, and those who are more interested in the Psych-K facilitation can see me.
Which would be, this is another thing I love about Psych-K is it's a complement. So psychotherapy is great. You know, we've received a lot of insights, but what do we do with those insights? So they can receive that, get the conscious knowledge, and then come and align their subconscious beliefs with what they've already learned, which I'm sure
Absolutely.
20 years of therapy.
Absolutely. And, you know, some folks that come to me, and this is part of setting the expectation, is like I said, I like to get as much work done in the session. So if you're coming and you feel like you need that conscious conversation, then let's have more of that in the introduction call versus, you know, in the session, because it's not therapy, right? You need to be clear that it's not therapy.
We're just changing it.
Right. We're just changing the beliefs.
Awesome. Well, I'm really enjoying this interview, Kat. You got a great story.
I am as well.
Great vibe. I'm loving what you're doing over there. For people that are watching, how can they find you?
They can find me on my website, which is www. The Power of You LLC, Limited Liability Corp, required here in Texas, .com. And or they can find me on Facebook, which is just The Power of You.
Awesome. I'll put those links in the description below, so people can find you. I'm sure. Well, I'm really hoping that there's lots of people who are in similar situations that do come to you for that, because it's not working anymore. It's not working anymore. Medications and prescription drugs, it's not. People aren't getting the results that they're after, and it's time for something new. And I'm so grateful and so proud of us to be on the forefront of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I like to be clear. I'm not, you know, anti-medication. I think that medications can be a good bridge, especially if you're in a really you know, critical place. But there are plenty of people who have gone that route and been there, done that, not working. Let's try something different. Or those who are just like, I don't even want to go there, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. And it still works. It all works.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So a little curveball here. I know you've watched many of the interviews, so you might be prepared for it, but what's one takeaway you can give our viewers? Maybe one piece of advice or something that you apply in your life quite regularly that really helps you?
I'm going to come back to don't give your power away, because when you do that, I think it also perpetuates the victim state. So don't give your power away. If you have given it away, get it back. And don't allow yourself to be a victim. I know it can be hard when you've been through, you know, life's challenges and traumas. Believe me, I know, I've been there. But whatever modality resonates with you, pursue it and get to a place where you are moving towards love, peace, wholeness, fullness. Yes. So if it's not Psych-K, find that and get out of that victim state and claim your power.
We all deserve that. We all deserve a life of love, peace, and joy.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm buzzing right now. I'm feeling really good.
It's a sign.
Thanks so much for joining us, Kat.
Thanks, Alex.
I look forward to keeping in contact with you and watching you grow as I grow.
Yes, absolutely. I'll see you in the Psych-K realm.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll have to come back over to Texas.
Yes. Look me up if you're coming back to Texas.
I will.
All right.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today and watching us here with this interview today. It's Alexi J. McDonald signing out from our Conscious Conversations interview series, and I'll see you guys on the next one. See you later.
Bye.